Hello, welcome to episode number 11 of the Hometown Sports Podcast Network. We're happy to have you along. We've got a great guest today. We've got Tara and Mandy joining us from Simcoe Xtreme Volleyball. But before we jump into today's episode, we got a couple of things. We got a handful of teams this weekend heading to OMHAs. We want to wish good luck to all the teams heading from Delhi to Norfolk and Haldeman. There's a lot of teams heading off to OMHAs. I know in Whitby this weekend, so best of luck to all of them. Make sure you're following along. We're going to do our best to get the scores back from those teams and post those out. We'll be sharing all of their recaps. And hopefully by the end of the weekend, we have somebody coming back with some red hats on. But this episode, again, is sponsored by Walker Mortgages. A lot of the families out there listening tonight, you got kids in local minor sports, driving to practice, buying equipment, figuring out how to make it all work. For local families, sports costs are one of the biggest untracked drains on a household budget. And most people don't realize how much it adds up until you sit down and take a look. We built a 2-minute quiz that shows you exactly where you stand, what smarter financial strategies look like. There's no sales call, no pressure. We're not even going to ask you for email. Check it out at adamwalkermortgages.com. Now, let's jump into today's episode. Mandy, Tara, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us. Happy to be here.
Perfect. Now, before we go too far, you mentioned we've got some teams going to OMHAs this weekend. You guys also have the OVAs coming up, so the Ontario Volleyball Championships. We got a few teams heading to that as well.
Yeah, so we just had our youngest team, our 4v Sparks, made up of grade 5 and 6 girls who just finished their first ever provincials in Niagara Falls. And then we have the rest of our teams competing mid to late April, and they're geared up and ready to go. So we're excited for that.
Nice. That's exciting. It's exciting times. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk about Simcoe Xtreme. We'll take us back to the beginning. Where do we get started? Where was the moment where somebody maybe said, we need to build this here in Simcoe, and how do we get going?
Well, I guess that's where I'll jump in. In 2011 was when we actually started with one team made up of 5 girls from Ecole Sainte Marie and 5 girls from St. Joe's. And the driving force behind all of this was Stan Gotch. His daughter was going to Ecole Sainte Marie at the time, and they had a phenomenally skilled coach. He was a FIFA internationally certified coach, but they didn't have enough people to have. Ecole Sainte Marie's a small little school. They didn't have enough people, so they went looking to make a team, because they looked at potentially driving into Ancaster. And then the solution was, hey, let's start. So that very first year we had one team. And actually that very first year we got a couple of medals. Went into the second year. And Stan was out there, getting sponsors, doing different things. Went into the second year still with just one team. And at that point I was just involved as a go-go mom and volunteer. And then the end of the second year I started to coach. But Stan was always the driving force. And then year 3, we expanded into more teams. And by 2014, we had 4 teams. And we kind of maintained 4 to 6 teams for a few years. But in 2014, so 12 years ago exactly today, now that I think about it, because it was one of my Facebook memories today, the first Simcoe Xtreme won gold at provincials. That very first group of girls, they had been now playing for 3 years, and they won gold at provincials that year. And then the team just grew from there. The club just kind of grew from there.
So talk a little bit about Stan. You kind of brought him up there. A guy like that, probably somebody that believed in this club before maybe anybody else even thought it was possible. Well, what was it that Stan did to, that really drove this?
Well, he was the behind the scenes. He did everything. I think one year he even stepped up and coached, did a little assistant coaching because there wasn't enough coaches. But he was the guy who just was out there like plugging it away at the schools, delivering the flyers. He was doing all the registrations for teams. He was taking all the pressure off the coaches so that we could just coach.
Nice.
And just making it easier for us. And he saw the need for it here because there were girls in this area who were driving into London and driving into Ancaster. And so he was the, even when his daughter finished, I finished coaching her, I think she was done 2016. And she actually came back and coached a couple of years ago. Even when she was done, he continued, right up until when I took over in 2019 with the help of Steph and Rob Hack. He was definitely the driving force starting volleyball in Norfolk County. Like he was he was the cheerleader for all of it.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, like, how many girls would you say that this kept home? Like, you talked about, you had girls off playing London, Ancaster, all over the place. By starting something back here in Simcoe and something that I know, growing up, volleyball definitely wasn't anything that I never had any friends playing volleyball outside of school, and I'm guessing it was similar. But having those teams here and keeping some of those athletes back, what would the impact like of starting a program like this be?
I think like when you sent me the questions earlier today and you talked about the impact on like an individual athlete, and we had some of those first year girls that started in 2011 with us. One of them ended up playing in North Carolina. A couple of them ended up playing at colleges here. But where I really saw the impact, because I was also a high school volleyball coach, the difference between the caliber of volleyball in the early thousands and the caliber of volleyball that developed after we started competitive volleyball here in the county was just like amazing. Like we didn't produce volleyball teams that won QASA and went to OFSA. And then that same team that won 2014, several of them were on the HT team that went to OFSA in Kenora a couple of years later. So it wasn't like, yes, there was impact on individual girls, but the bigger thing was the impact on sports in all the high schools, especially girls volleyball, like the caliber that, like I said, I started coaching in the early 2000s. You'd have 12 girls show up for senior volleyball tryouts and you take them all, right? Like
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's what happened. And then the last, like now you have 45 girls show up for senior, and you have upwards, like at Holy Trinity last year, I think they had 65 girls show up for junior volleyball tryouts. And that used to be unheard of, right? Go ahead, Mandy.
Interrupt, Tara. I think actually, Tara, this year at HT for their junior team, they had almost 100 girls try out.
Yeah.
And that junior girls volleyball team from HT went on to win QASA. I think AA, maybe, is it? You would know better, Tara, but I completely agree. The impact is huge.
So I think that's the bigger thing. It was what it brought not only to these individual girls, but what it brought to the county in terms of, and now, I mean, look at like volleyball just goes all year round. Like it's, you go right out of indoor onto beach. And Stan also was the one who, after we did a couple of years, there was a couple of girls who were like, hey, there's beach. Like when we go to these tournaments, they're talking about beach. And I was one of the moms who my daughter wanted to go play beach. So I was like, okay, so now we're playing volleyball 12 months of the year. And then the second year, I think it was, we had a group of girls that won gold in beach provincial. So, the impact, on girls' confidence and their leadership, but it was the impact on school sports that I think was the biggest thing that came from club volleyball.
Yeah, you definitely see the increase in volleyball. And I'll never forget my kid's first time playing volleyball and talking to Christine Courier, and she's like, how do you pick this team? She says, well, anybody that's kind of athletic, you take them on the team and hope you can teach them how to play volleyball. Right? That was about, that was grade 5, the co-ed. I don't know if it's gotten that much better, but I'm sure it's improved a little bit. You start to see some of the younger kids, but it was pretty painful sometimes. If you get 15 serves over the net, you're winning, right? So it was those are the early days, but that's good that we're seeing that increase. Now you talk about some of the entry points. You talk about Smashball as something that you're getting. What does Smashball look like? And some kid that walks in for the first time, how does Smashball help get them into a sport like volleyball?
Yeah, so I can talk to that. So what we noticed in volleyball in Norfolk County after everything had started with Xtreme and was that we were really kind of needing some type of development program that really got these kids interested and excited about volleyball earlier than the competitive age, because normally the competitions for OVA, they've done a really great job with early contact initiative and really focusing on skill development. And at those younger ages, it's not actually age-based, it's skill-based. But it really only kind of starts in grade 5 that you can kind of really get into the competitive OVA format. So we thought we came across Smashball, which is an OVA program, a registered program. And the focus is on getting kids excited about volleyball. building foundational skills, building friendships and sportsmanship and understanding the game. But the format of it, the kids actually play, it's targeted towards grades 1 to 6 students, and they play on badminton height nets. And so we started our first session last spring, this time last year, after our competitive season ended. We had 45 kids registered within a week. Every kid that registered got a volleyball, an OVA volleyball, and a t-shirt so that they could continue to practice at home and at the courts, on the courts. We had our own coaches and athletes volunteer, and they came every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays and worked the kids through a variety of agility and athleticism drills, and then also how to pass, how to volley. But mostly the big focus, why it's called Smashball, is because the focus is on spiking and
Nice.
getting the kids excited to spike. And that's why the badminton net height is the way it is. It also has different levels. There's 5 different levels that they progress throughout the sessions, between tossing and catching, actual volleying, actual passing, and then actual hits. And we group the kids based on skill throughout the sessions. And really the focus just is on fun. We keep it very inexpensive because we are a nonprofit club. So it was $90 to play, and it was twice a week in the spring. And then we ran it again in the winter for the month of November and December, I think it was. And then we're running it again. We just opened registration today, actually,
Nice.
for our next spring session that will take place for the month of May at Holy Trinity. So it was just a need that we saw, and our coaches and our athletes were excited to come out, and just seeing that excitement from the kids when they see the older girls and boys, because we do have a boys team that we'll talk about later, coming out and just getting these boys and girls excited about the sport. So
Yeah,
yeah.
talk about some of those athletes. I know it's always nice when you can get, the kids coming back, the young ones, they don't always want to listen to parents. And sometimes as an athlete playing, maybe a 16, 17-year-old kid, you go back and you're teaching some of these skills. You learn just as much as the athletes do. Talk about some of those kids that have come back, and maybe there's an instance or two of some kids that have done it,
Yeah.
had a big impact.
Yeah, I think it's been really cool to see a different side of those athletes. You see the competitive spirit of them in practice, their own practices, and in the OVA tournaments and exhibition tournaments, but then putting them in front of a bunch of 5, 6, 7, 10-year-olds, you see a completely different side of them and their patience and their ability to break down the skills. And then you see the eyes light up from these little boys and girls that are all of a sudden standing beside a 6'4" guy that is just excited about volleyball and wants these guys to be excited about volleyball. So I know just our session that we held at Lakewood in the winter, we had 2 of our boys from our boys team come out to the one session, because we had different volunteers every session. And we had a group of probably 5 to 10 hockey boys that were just available and had signed up. And when these 2 boys walked in, and our boys saw these boys come in, and they were playing with them and rallying with them and showing them how they spike, and just the excitement and the energy. And then the older guys, like the 17, 18-year-olds, were just like, wow, like feeling real, like you could see them kind of their chest
Yeah,
puffs out a little bit. And they're like, okay, these kids think I'm like the best,
they got a
which
big deal.
they're
Yeah.
skilled. But it was just really cool to see. And then even we had our girls teams. Every one of our girls teams volunteered on one of the nights, and also just seeing them working with 5-year-olds and breaking down a skill, and sitting beside them and telling them if they made a mistake, it's okay, and they make mistakes, and just that back and forth conversation and relationship, like, just gives you chills to watch. And then you have all the parents are there watching and so excited and cheering them on. And you just really hope that turns into a lifelong love of the sport. Even if they don't
Yeah.
decide to play competitively, that's okay. We just want them. Volleyball's a sport you can play for a very long
For
time,
life.
right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm getting older. I could maybe still play, but I haven't in a while. But yeah, I just think the Smashball program has allowed us to really dive into that need in the community for kids maybe that aren't competitive hockey or soccer or whatever winter sport that they play, because volleyball runs in the same time.
Same
So
season. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so, like, talk about what it means to have that right here in Norfolk and not an hour away, and like you said before, people were going an hour away. We kinda talked to a little bit. What about the impact of having that right here in Norfolk County? And not only in the winter, but all summer long, right? You've got some really great summer. You talk about the beach programs. Well, we've got kids that I know kids playing volleyball over at the barnyard or heading out down to the Turkey Point and playing volleyball that I never would have thought would be volleyball players.
Yeah, I think I'll let Tara jump in as well anytime, but I think the ability to do this locally, I think, is something I wish I had. I played high school and as an adult, but this was never anything. I knew there was clubs in London and Hamilton and at farther, but it wasn't feasible for my family to get me to those places. And I think even more so now, kids are so committed, parents are so committed. The economy isn't wonderful, so gas is not great. So I think just providing them with that opportunity within their local community, and also for them to meet players from other schools, right? Like our little great 4v4 team is composed of 7 girls, and I think maybe 2 or 3 of them go to the same school, and now they've developed these friendships. Same with our older girls. Like my daughter's playing 18U this year, and she's the only one from Delhi High School, and the rest are from HT or SCS and Valley Heights. And so it's just, I think that crossover of the schools also, like Tara said, the impact on the schools, but also those lifelong friendships that are being built. Our boys team that we're super excited about, there are 10 boys on that team, and they are representing SCS, Delhi, Valley Heights. I don't think they have a Waterford or HT boy on there, but still to see those competitive boys that play high school volleyball come together on a team with a common goal. The hope would be that they develop those friendships and that lifelong love, and then can come back to contribute. And I know a few of those boys will age out this year, and we're hoping that they come back and join us as coaches next year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell me about maybe one of the coaches you have right now who's, poured a ton into this club. And, maybe most people don't know their name, but, you know who they are and they've given so much to the sport. Do you have any coaches along those lines that put a lot in?
Can I jump in here, Mandy?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We talk about coaches, but I think Mandy will also agree with me. It's those people who are, because the coaches, you kind of see them and you know that they're there putting in the time, but nobody realizes how much time there is to running a club behind the scenes. And it's those people that I think really need the shout out because they're not being seen on the sidelines. Like for me, I never would have been able to take over this club in 2019 if I didn't have people like Rob and Steph Hack coached with me, but also behind the scenes, his wife and him, they were like doing a lot. Like your coaching hours are one thing, but it's the MRS system, which is sometimes a nightmare, and the registering for tournaments and the getting the hotels. And it's those people who are kind of silently working away in the background. Like our coaches are amazing, don't get me wrong, and them for stepping up to do that. But I think that the people behind the scenes, and I know Jen has a couple of worker bees this year too, like after we transitioned last year, I think it's those people who are not getting any credit when the medals come in and all of that kind of stuff that really need to be just
Give me some of the names. Who are some
Can
of
I
those people
build?
that are doing a lot of them?
well, for me, it was Rob and Steph Hack. Like I said, there's no way that I could have done this without having Rob with me and then having Steph doing the work behind the scenes because she did a lot. And I know Mandy has her team this year.
Yeah. So, like I said to you earlier, Adam, Tara did a fantastic job, and Gotch did an amazing job getting this started. And then when we approached Tara a couple years ago and said, "Hey, we're looking for a place to play," she accepted us with open arms. And I couldn't be more grateful for that because it's turned into what we have now, and we're so excited. So,
And I was looking for someone to take over for me to retire.
the stars aligned, and honestly,
They
it is a group. Our executive is made up of 6 fantastic individuals. So myself, and then we have Sarah McEntee, who is our vice president. Jen Vandeveld is our treasurer and secretary extraordinaire. She keeps us in line and doing everything the right way, and we appreciate her for that. Bree McCallum and Cheryl Copeland and Heather Stronks make up the rest of our executive, and they're just passionate moms who whose girls love the sport, and they have all stepped up. We have done sponsorships this year, which has allowed us to purchase more equipment. We have done a bunch of fundraising, which has allowed us to support our teams and entering into a variety of tournaments above OVAs. They are just out there constantly promoting the club and celebrating the successes. It's just, there is no way that we could run this club. And I can't believe the amount of work Tara must have had to do with just her and her team to take this on. And then we have our coaches. If I can give a shout out to our coaches by name, we have Brian, Chris, and Ida, who took on our 4v4 team this year with a group of girls that actually started with us in Smashball last spring and then decided and joined us again in the winter. And then they were like, we want to keep playing. And we didn't have the time or the gym to continue in January. So they're like, can we put a competitive team together? And so that's what we did. And so those 3 parents with no volleyball coaching stepped up, did their training, and we are so grateful. Then we have Coach Todd, who's taken on a 14U team. We've got Coach Katie and Amber, who are coaching 15U, and their team is in the top 50 in the province. Todd and Heather Stronks have taken on a new team, husband and wife team, that are just doing wonderful things with their girls. Steph Frost and Dwight Garlow. Dwight's been with the organization for a long time. They took on our 8U girls team. And then we have Braden and Kevin, who are young professionals in the community who love the sport of volleyball and played beach and played indoor. And we're like, you know what? We want to give back. We want to coach, and we want to coach boys. And so they were instrumental, along with Steph Frost, in really promoting and developing the interest in the high schools, and came out with a team of 10 that is competing.
Nice.
And I think, like Tara said, we couldn't do it without all of these people. And then even beyond that, if I can mention our sponsors for this year, SOS Towing, Simcoe Lions, Jericho Bro Construction, Cleland Cabinetry, and then our beach program, we're excited to run for the 2nd year out of Barnyard, who are another amazing sponsor, and Wholesome Pickens. So really, like, it is a whole community. And I ask Adam about why is it so valuable to have something like this here in Norfolk? That small town feel that we all know and love, which is why we are part of Norfolk County, comes through in something like this. We know our executive and coaching team knows every single athlete on every single one of our teams. We are a small club, but we are a very strong club with a very, very definite focus on athletes, on just building good humans, not only in volleyball, but in life. So, yeah.
And I got to say, in passing the torch over to Mandy, that was one thing that I kind of loved that continued this year. Like, the goal wasn't, let's get as many teams as we can, and let's do what we do in a small way and do it really well and do it like we're all a family. Because that was our goal from the very beginning, was not become so big that we don't know parents and no kids. We've always kind of kept it small. And the other thing that I kind of wanted to say, because she talked about Braden, when you're in it long enough and you see it all come full circle, like I coached Braden in high school, senior boys, and, we played against like Isaac at the Barnyard and Maddie Gotch, who was Stan's daughter. And when they come back, they got enough out of that they come back and start giving back. Like, that's when you really see impact, when you see those kids who started as athletes wanting to come back and wanting to give back to the sport. That's when you've done something good, right? You've done a good job. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, let's jump in. So if maybe a parent or somebody's listening to this and they think, I drive by the Barnyard all summer. I wonder what the heck's going on there. And I see all these courts there, but they never want to pull in. How does somebody get involved? Maybe they want to play, or just stop by for a drink and watch some volleyball. What goes on there, and talk a little bit about some of those summer programs they have.
Yeah. So we started a small beach program last year. And like Tara said, Stan started the beach down in Turkey Point. COVID kind of killed a few things. And we know there's lots of beach volleyball happening in the area, but we had a really great partnership with the Barnyard. and had some conversations with them just through community connections. And they said, you know what, we've got Thursday nights free because I know they have a very healthy beach program happening there. I think I was just met with Isaac last week from the Barnyard, Isaac and Dan, to finalize some things every night, but Thursday night they have booked. The only night we could get was Thursday nights. They have something like 30 adult teams between for men's, women's, and co-ed. So we are taking our Thursday night again, like we did last year, and we're running a high school league out of Barnyard and Wholesome Pickens because we outgrew the Barnyard. But on Thursday nights between 6 and 9, you can stop in. The atmosphere is fantastic. The food and drinks at the Barnyard are wonderful and make it. Lots of parents came out for wing night on Thursday nights and cheered their girls on. And so that was a really cool atmosphere. It was about a 10-week season. It runs from the end of May to the end of July. This year, registration is open currently and is open until May 1st. We have room for a few more teams, but it's filling up. And then this year, we're excited because of that focus on growth and development of our younger age players. We are running a youth program for grades 4 to 8 out at Wholesome Pickens on Monday nights. And that's going to look a little bit different. The high school league that runs out of Barnyard and Wholesome Pickens on Thursday nights is more competitive. It's 2v2. Our youth league on Monday nights is focused on the first half an hour is skill-based. And then the last hour, we will create teams that are also skill-based, but it might be 2v2, it might be 4v4. So again, the focus is skills development for the first half an hour led by our coaches and athletes, and then gameplay for the last hour out at Wholesome Pickens, which is also a fantastic venue if you haven't seen it. Jen and Dave, they have two very active volleyball players as their children who lobbied them and convinced them to build some beach courts on the farm. And they're beautiful, beautiful sand. The atmosphere is great. Yeah, it's just, we're super, super excited about our summer beach program.
Nice. Yeah, I drive by, we just drive by usually on our way out of town, going to a ball diamond somewhere, but we go by the Barnyard all the time. And a Thursday night,
Yeah.
for those parents getting up Saturday morning for hockey, sitting out on wing night on a Thursday night sounds like a heck of a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of might
Sun
offset some
shining.
of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's one thing that you want parents to know about Simcoe Xtreme, about your program? Somebody that might be listening to this. What's one thing you think they need to know?
Terry, you want to start?
Well, I think I just kind of said it, about when you join Simcoe Xtreme, the communication is amazing. There's the development is not all about winning and developing the athlete. It's about the leadership and the confidence and the friendships and all of those things. Like it's a wholesome, well-rounded program. And that was always the goal from day one. That's what we wanted. We wanted to, and we started with girls and now moving into guys. And I'm so happy to hear that because we tried a couple of years and we could never compete with hockey. But, that was always the goal. Like starting out, that was the goal. And it was the mission statement, 15 years ago was to develop the whole athlete. And that's what you get here. And you get someone who knows your child and is invested in your child. And it's a family. It's a family feel.
Yeah, give me a moment. Maybe a moment over the last 15 years. Maybe it's the end of a season. Maybe it's the end of a tournament weekend, where you look back and say, man, did we ever succeed? And this was a real big win for us.
Oh, boy. While she's thinking about that, can I just build on what I would want parents to know? And I love what Tara said about family and every piece of communication. And we are very open and transparent and honest in our communication with all of our athletes and families and coaches. We call them our XV, like welcome to the family, welcome to the XVC family. As corny or cheesy as that sounds, I really think if you asked any of our athletes or parents that it is a real family feel. And the idea of growth of the athlete, of the human as a person, as opposed to just the volleyball player, is really our focus. And we meet players where they're at. Our coaches are skilled and they care about the whole athlete, like Tara said. So Tara, did I buy you some time to think about
No, I like when you talk, you think about winning sometimes in terms of like medals and placing and things like that. But I think we kind of had a little bit of a tradition where at the end of every tournament, we sat in a circle and we talked about, what really went well for us. And I think I used to always find it a big win when the girls would start complimenting each other. Like we might not have won, but saying, but hey, like you did really well here. You did really well here. Like those were the times in the circle where myself and Rob sometimes would just sit back or, whoever was coaching and just let them lead the conversation. And then they'd start talking about what they wanted to do next or what they needed to do and what they needed to work on. I think those were kind of the win moments for me when you saw that they kind of took ownership and even if they didn't win, they took pride in what other people did and they were complimenting each other and they were kind of trying to build each other up. I think as a coach, that's where you see it. And it wasn't just a one-time thing. It was just, that's where you see, okay, the confidence is built, the leadership is built, the friendships are built, the trust is built. Like it was when I would see those things coming through that I'd be like, okay, we might not have a medal here, but we got to win. Right.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
I
yeah.
think
That's fantastic.
I think just to build on that, and for me, I can think about one of our tournaments this year. And again, I can speak because I'm a parent of one of the 18U girls, and we were at an 18U girls tournament, and the 18U boys were there as well. And the boys and girls were running between courts, between games, so that they could sit and cheer on the boys were coming to watch us play, and we were going to watch them play. And again, is it nice to win? Yes, that means more to us as a club is that support for each other. Even as coaches, like we've got coaches attending other coaches' practices and supporting them, coaches reaching out to each other and trying to figure out what's best for an athlete's growth. Just, I think that support as opposed to like one specific moment, I
Yeah.
think like Kara said, is when you really see it that we're doing something right.
Awesome. Well, it's great to see the growth. It's great to see a lot of things going on with volleyball and province wide and here in our county too. So I really want to thank you guys both for what you're doing for local minor athletes and thank you for joining the podcast tonight. I do want to wrap up with a few different rapid fire questions, and you guys could take it either way. Either one of you can answer them. But give me one word to describe what your program means to Norfolk County.
I think leadership, confidence,
Thanks.
Family,
Mandy, got anything else? Family? Perfect.
family growth. Yeah.
Beach volleyball or indoor volleyball? What do you prefer and why?
Indoor.
Yeah, indoor. Is that
I'm
Thursday
too
night
slow.
wing night?
Too
Doesn't
slow
sell
in
you?
the sand.
Yeah. Beach is nice, but indoor is volleyball. Indoor is
Nice.
where my heart is.
You have a favorite game that you've maybe had over the past 15 years? I'm sure there's lots, and it's hard to pin down one. But tell me about one game in specific, and was your favorite one. If you go back and replay it or watch it again, you give anything to go back.
And we both coached at
Oh.
different parts in our career. I think for me, I'll speak to our provincials last year. Our team last year took a huge leap of faith in joining Simcoe Xtreme. Our coach and players took a huge leap of faith. And our coach's goal, Steph Frost's goal last year that she shared with the girls from the beginning, was to peak at provincials. And that's exactly what those girls did. And seeing them on the court, we didn't win a medal, but we improved our ranking by upwards of 30 ranks, which in volleyball is huge. And so
I think it's huge.
accomplishing that goal and seeing the smiles on those girls' faces, knowing that sometimes taking a risk is worth the reward, really for me kind of solidified that we made the right choice.
I think for me, there's so many, but again, the one that stands out for me probably is the very last game where I knew this is my last game as a coach. But those girls, it was 18U. It was their last games on the court. It was their last game. And if we won, we were going into the medal round. And if we didn't, we were going home. And it was how hard they fought, right? Like it went to the max, like it went 15 in game 5. Like it was, heart wrenching too, but it was how hard they fought. And, and they went out, even though they didn't win, they knew that they had worked their hardest. Like we actually, and all the parents said that was the best volleyball, that set was the best volleyball we had seen them play in their 4 years of playing volleyball. So it was like, even though we didn't win, they had played the best that they could have played. Like they couldn't have done anything different. And it was so good to end knowing and hearing parents say that that was the best that I've ever seen them play.
Awesome.
Would have been sweeter to
Awesome.
win, but
Yes. Always is. It always is. Yeah, we'll wrap it up. 5 years from 5 years from now, where's Simcoe Extreme? What does it look like?
that's a you, Mandy.
Yeah, we are having a great time. As an executive, we meet regularly. We are having a great time and we want to continue this growth. Like Tara said earlier, our goal is not to be the biggest club around. Our goal is to continue that small town family feel. Ideally, I would love to have a boys team, just as many boys teams as we have girls teams, but that requires coaches, which is the biggest struggle because we have very high standards for our coaches and we're always looking for more. But yeah, I think this is bigger. Simcoe Extreme is bigger than just one athlete or 1 year. We are in it for the long haul, those of us that are here right now, but we are always looking for more people to join us in a volunteer capacity, etc. And my son is now back. So yeah, I just think continue on the trajectory that Stan and Tara started is really kind of our vision and goal, is just to continue what we've started, what they started.
Yeah. And for me, I just, I was going to end last year and we were actually, we had kind of asked people to take over and people knew what work was involved and we couldn't find anybody. And so we were making the hard decision that we were going to phase out and fold the club. And then Mandy called me and it was like perfect timing. And I was so excited. So for me, I'm just so excited that in 5 years, there still will be a Simcoe Extreme, thanks to Mandy and her team willing to step in and take it over. And I'm also excited that, and just really happy that the vision and mission of the team has remained the same.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks so much for joining tonight, and best of luck this summer or this next couple of weeks as your teams are heading off to the OVAs, and best of luck to all of them. Keep us updated. We'd love to share scores again along all of our social media channels, and best of luck as you head into the summer and your beach season. So, thanks for joining us, guys.
Great. Thanks for having us, Adam.